Travis Wayne Goodsell. Growing up in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we don't get taught directly by the prophets, except for conference. And so the rest of the year, we have to rely on church, the leaders of the church, and the teachers in the various groups. And I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember, but we used to have 3 hours of church. For more instruction on scriptures. And then, of course, you had seminary, early morning for me, and then institute, both at non-Mormon schools. There was an institute building that would often be built, similar to the University of Utah that has the institute building across the street. And BYU's for themselves have as part of the curriculum. And so it is a system in which we get opportunities for education in Mormonism. But unfortunately, the church lies to us. As I done the whole education gambit at the church, went on my mission, came back, and took all of the courses of religion there at Rick's College. And you probably don't know Rick's College. It's been torn down and replaced with, what's it called? BYU Idaho, I think. So my college is gone. But I do not claim BYU Idaho. It was Rick's. They tore down my light post. So I'm mad. And I think Ensign Hall is gone too. That is weird. One of the dorms are missing. And I think it was the other one, or maybe it was mine. It's been a while since I've checked Google Maps. But regardless, I settled for Stephanie. If you're not going to watch my videos, I think it might have been on TWG where I talked about Stephanie and choosing her over Leanne. But she was half Canadian, and so free babies. You just go to the hospital and you pick any baby you want. And then the Canadian government, they pay you to take babies, and then pay you monthly to have the baby, to take care of the baby. As well as you just go into the grocery store and pick out food, and other stores, you just take what you want. Oh boy, I'm in a mood tonight. And I went to the University of Lethbridge, that pretty much similar to Rick's, was torn down and rebuilt. But at least they kept the same name. But it devastated Lethbridge. Dear God. All of the businesses were gone. It was like a ghost town. Most of the businesses that I worked at were gone or replaced with another company. McDonald's took over the Burger King, and the other two McDonald's were gone. and the hotel was gone. Yeah, it was stripped. But I continued in biblical studies. Most of them were by Thomas O. Robinson? Or is that Thomas O. Lambton? Thomas Robinson, at least. Don't know if he has a middle initial. Let me check his Greek book. Assuming... See, I did some manipulation, and it sort of worked better, but I'm now getting frequent disconnects. And then if it doesn't pop up with the little things to the upper right, it's just going to buffer for eternity until it finally says internet connection lost. God. Thomas Robbins. Oops. Mastering Greek vocabulary. So yeah, his book was our textbook. Thomas A. Robinson. Okay. And then, yeah, that would have been the textbook, the January 1st, 1991 edition. And the Mastering New Testament Greek with the CD-ROM. It says CD, but it's a CD-ROM. That's the 2006 version. Took you that long? Wow. He asked me to do that. And I had just graduated and was being dumped off here in Utah. My goodness. But yeah, I did purchase it myself in 2017, apparently. Purchased May 2017. But, yeah, he also taught the Greek class. So that's where I learned Greek, was from him. And he asked me to work on that. And I was finished. Well, distraction. Stay on target. Stay on target. And so it was night and day different from the Old Testament Bible studies at Rick's College and in the church and in seminary. Because the church only teaches the Mormon interpretation. And that's it, that's all. Joseph Smith didn't do enough to make the changes he wanted with the Bible. And so there's a lot of information that needs to be learned that is not available. And thus the church doesn't teach anything above and beyond what Joseph Smith gave for the Bible. And so I at least knew the wives of each of Jacob's wives. And I knew the stories, and that helped. It was like a prerequisite for this course. But his course delved into the documentary hypothesis and other theories as to explaining uncertainties in the Bible. And so it was science-based. And at the same time as those courses, I was also taking philosophy of science courses. And if you're thinking, oh, philosophy, that's opinion. No. Science-based philosophy. Using Socratic method, logical argument, to develop theories that would be testable to obtain confirmation or rejection, replication, or failure. And so it was the guidance counselor who named them. And so, yeah, she called biblical Hebrew and Greek and Latin ancient languages. Latin and Greek are classical, and biblical Hebrew is Dark Age. So that's just to be technical. And so, yeah, I did take a biblical Hebrew class up there as well. And so that was my intention, was to learn how Joseph Smith translated the Hebrew text of the Bible in his King Follett Discourse. Kind of left us hanging. Hang in there. Oh, that's the thumbnail picture. Hang in there. We gotta find a place to... This is another video. Hang in there. There we go. And so it's very bizarre that in Mormonism, going through all those church courses, I'm told that we're going to have more scripture. More than what we had. And of course, there was the fear, because they didn't know what kind of scripture it was going to be, that it was going to be more commandments. And so you get Mormons making excuses. I don't want more scriptures. I'm still overwhelmed with the commandments we have to obey and what we have. You've kind of missed the meaning of the scriptures. You should have read them. You would have found something else out instead. So yes, I went on to become who I am today, and I've been doing the videos to help you guys learn as well. And that was always my question, though, is why are the prophets not releasing new scriptures? Why are the prophets not finishing the translation of the papyri? Why aren't the prophets why aren't they? Why are they taking stuff away? It was always troubling to me, because it's the true church, and I was privileged, chosen to come to earth in the one true church on the face of the earth, the youth of the noble birthright. Oh, right, yeah. You see, back in my day, the president of the church was President Ezra Taft Benson in 1986 of April. That was his solemn assembly conference. And we did have prophets prior to President Russell M. Nelson. And he gave a talk in which he says, pregnancy, he's quoting from if you saw the video I did about Temple Light Bearer who calls Jesus an it, this is worse. Because Benson is quoting Miracle of Forgiveness by Kimball, and he's quoting Ballard, a lowly apostle, maybe even a 70, from one of his talks that he gave. And Or was it Packer? I think it was Packer. It was Packer. Sorry, Ballard, didn't mean to defame your name. You certainly have never given a talk that would be worthy of criticism. And if you happen to outlive Oakes and Nelson, you'll get your turn. But they were talking about sexual sins and the need for abstinence only. and called pregnancy a pernicious evil. Editor, where's the editor? It's just hilarious that it's been perpetuated in the church. And so, yeah, even Benson, as brilliant as he is, as he was Secretary of Agriculture for the government, federal government, had also come out with the First Presidency statement on the King James Version of the Bible, saying that, yeah, Article of Faith number 8. But Joseph Smith used the King James Version, so we are. What? The whole point of Article of Faith number 8 is to retranslate the Bible correctly. To throw away the King James Version. Oh, dear God. And so, yeah, when I was helping out with the footnotes, they gave us that First Presidency statement, and I'm just shaking my head, face palming, and dear God. Because I had deciphered Paleo-Hebrew by then. That's how I got in. And so, yeah, actually studying the scriptures, and not just surface reading, but actually delving into the Greek and the biblical Hebrew and deciphering Paleo-Hebrew and then Egyptian, so that I can know the origin of the stories in the Bible, and then recognize other religions and other scriptures that also are on the same similar style as the Bible's scriptures, apocalyptic literature. But why are the prophets failing us? That's been the big concern, is why? And Mormons just keep making excuses for the prophets. And that never sat well with me, even as a kid. They'd talk about the future millennial prophet. That was a creation, because Jesus is real and is coming for the second coming to take over the government and the church. And so you're still going to keep the first presidency with Jesus back. And so he'll be the millennial prophet, and he'll be the one to, and that was one of the wildest creations of Mormon myths, speculations. But the other one, which was more common, was, it's God's will. If God wills it, the president of the church will do something about it. And not a single one of them have, from Brigham to Nelson. Not a single thing. Like I said, they're doing exactly like the Great and Abominable Church was doing, and taking away the scriptures and altering the scriptures from the original, taking away the plain and precious parts of the scriptures of Joseph Smith, such as monogamy. And Brigham Young put in polygamy instead. And now all ex-Mormons think that Joseph Smith was a polygamist. You guys are so easily manipulated. Come on, guys. I'm on your side. Haven't you figured that out by now? Aren't you following me? Or are you the ones who subscribe immediately after one video and then the next day you're gone? Because you're offended. No, Joseph Smith has to be evil or I'm gone. I mean, seriously. So many times I'm having to reply to comments of people who are misinformed by the church. And we all do it because we're lied to, and we go around spreading those lies. But it's because the prophets have failed. They're not prophets. They're not seers. They're not revelators, and they're definitely not translators because they don't even claim translator. And I've gone over that a billion times over these years. And so, yes, it can be a struggle to be in a church that you are realizing line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, is false rather than true, and building upon that truth. But here's the thing I keep trying to get across to all of you. I studied Joseph and his works first, and found out he's true. And so when I did real church history and found out this church is false and pure evil, I had Joseph Smith and his works to fall back on. So I didn't go into a faith crisis. So I didn't curl up into a ball and repeating 24/7, the church is true, the church is true, the church is true, the church is true. I hope there's nobody out there doing that. It's okay to study, to learn the truth. But this is why the church is teaching you to read, ponder, pray, get a spiritual feeling of positivity, and stop there. Because they don't have any fruit to present for you. This is why they divert all questions to your local leaders for excommunication. They lack. They do not have those gifts that the president of the church only is supposed to have. And yet now the 12 all have it? What happened there? Because you study your Doctrine and Covenants, right? You know that only the president of the church has those gifts. And Joseph never gave them to the 12. So what was Brigham doing with them? And why didn't he take translator? There are just obvious answers if we would just study. And now we have the Joseph Smith papers. Finally. The Mormons will not read them, will not study them, to learn the truth that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a fraud and pure evil, and have no clue about Joseph because they've been lied to about him. And so you don't have Joseph to fall back on when you find out that the church is false. This is why the prophecy of the Church of the Lamb is from within the great and abominable church. It's those few of us who actually do the study as we were told to, and have learned for ourselves that the church is not true. And so we live Joseph Smith's religion, waiting for its restoration. Because that's the prophecy. And we're in the final year of the latter days. So, quit making excuses. Learn the truth.